Hello lovely YouTube folk, it's Kirsty again. I hope you're well and I hope your day's going well. And if you want to like and subscribe me, that would be fantastic, and now's the time to do it because I don't have many subscribers, so you don't get any adverts. Fantastic, get in there. Right, so today's project is a fish keeping one. Now, something I like to do and something that's really popular amongst fish keepers is to hatch your own baby brine shrimp. Buy these little baby brine shrimp eggs and I keep them in the freezer, and then when you're ready to hatch them, you do when the conditions are right, and then you feed them to your fish and they go mad for them. And they not only do they keep them interested and alive and makes them all lively, they're really good protein, vitamins. They give them all the good stuff that they need, especially if you've got baby fish that have just hatched, maybe some baby angelfish and baby platies. They can't eat big bits of flaked food or whatever, so baby brine shrimp's the way to go, and all other fish love it as well. I met one that doesn't like it, or it doesn't make their colours bright, it doesn't make them more lively, and they just love it. So I've not done some for a while because we were on holiday recently, and it takes a few days to get it going, but I'll do some today so you can see what's involved. Now I've got two different containers to make baby brine shrimp in. You see this big one at the front? This is the Ziss brine shrimp hatchery, or blinder as they call it. This over here, and this one, which is good for smaller amounts, this is from Hobby, and it is the Artemia hatchery, which looks like this. So this is great if you've got a smaller tank. You just need small amounts of baby brine. If you've got a larger tank, or if you've got several tanks, this is a 2 litre container, and so you're going to get a lot of brine shrimp, and that's going to last you a bit longer. There's lots of ways that they tell you to do this, and I've discovered a way that works for me in my climate, because you need to keep it quite warm, so it might be different from what you've seen before, but this is, I'll show you what I do to hatch my brine shrimp. Okay, but first of all, we'll start with the Artemia from Hobby. So, oops. So I'll just open this up. There's a few parts to it. You take the lid off like this, and inside, that's the body of it. And there's not much to see really. There's a few grooves that are quite cleverly designed so that the brine shrimp can float through them into the centre where you collect them. So there's also a fill line where you need to fill it up to. You don't want it higher than that, otherwise the brine shrimp eggs that have hatched already will float in with the brine shrimp, and it's a big old mess. I've done it. It doesn't work. Okay, this bit, that's the rings that divide the sections of the hatchery, like this, and it just fits on here. There's little notches on the back here, so it's quite easy to see how it fits on. It clicks into place and it fits on like that. Then we have one of the most important bits, and it's the little collecting net, little connecting sieve, I suppose you'd say, which goes right in the middle. Can you see? Right in the middle. Oops. Then the lid will go on. There's a little sign here for open and closed, and there's a little spouty bit here, so you just pop it on there. Now the open and close bit is quite important, I suppose, because the way it shuts, the light is in the middle, and the hatched baby brine shrimp are attracted to the light, so they want to go towards the middle, and that's where they collect. So the rest of it has to be dark, and so by shutting this little bit here, it stops the light getting in, which might attract them over that way. but it's usually quite fail safe. You don't really have an issue with it. So, how do we do it? Okay, so we've got all our bits in place, as you can see. Now the best thing to do with this is to actually set it up and put the water in it and put the brine shrimp eggs in it where you want it to hatch, because the more you move it, the more likely it is going to mix up all the elements of it and the eggs are going to get in the middle and round about. You want it just placed where you're going to use it. I'm just going to put it there. So what we have here is half a litre, 500 mils of normal tap water. I don't have it at any certain temperature, it just comes out cold tap. Don't let it sit for any length of time, anything like that. By the time the brine shrimp are ready to hatch, it will be at room temperature anyway, so it's no problem. We're going to add to it some salt, because by the very nature, by the very name of it, brine shrimp, salty water. So what I use is API aquarium salt. You can use other salts as long as they don't have additives in them. I use this because it's for your fish tank and you can't go wrong. And sometimes you end up pouring some of your brine shrimp with the mixture into your fish tank. So if you have something that's meant for your fish tank, you can't go wrong. So for this one, you need 3 heaped teaspoons to put in the water. Now these chunky bits do take a while to dissolve, so it's quite good to do it in a jug before you put it in your hatchery, because the lumps just sit there, they don't go anywhere. So while that's thinking about dissolving, I shall get my egg. Now I bought these online and I shall find out the details and put it up for you. Brine shrimp hatching eggs, 100 grams, store in freezer when not in use. And that means it just keeps them inert. They're not going to hatch if they're in the freezer. They're going to stay frozen. And when you want them to hatch, then you can warm them up a bit. So, yes, I'll put the details at the bottom so you can see where I bought mine, because these have worked really well. Other people use other sources. Some, they normally tell you a hatch rate, so you know how prolific they are, how good they are. Mine, I've had these for quite a wee while now, and I keep using them, and the hatch rate doesn't seem to have gone down any, so I'm very pleased with it. Now, my salt is refusing to dissolve completely, so I'm just going to pour it in, which I normally do actually. I lose patience quite quickly. So all the bits are where they should be. For the purposes of this, I'm not going to place it where, it's not going to stay here for the whole time until they hatch for the 3 days or whatever. So I will have to move it after the fact, but it's one of those things. So make sure my salt's not going to get left in the bottom here. It's swirling around. And then we're just going to pour it in to the hatchery. Can you see that? All the salt's out. Okay. You spin around. So that is our water in, and everything looks good. There's a little spoon that comes with these. Actually, it comes with the hatchery, but I've put it in with my brine shrimp eggs. So 2 to 3 little spoonfuls. I use 3. So you just pour it all the way around like this. That's 1. 2. I think we could probably get away with, but there's 3. Right, so now I'll seal that and pop it back in the freezer, but we're just about to do the other one, so I won't do it right now. So everything's in place. Make sure your little sieve is not popping out. Okay, it's day 2 since we prepared the brine shrimp eggs, and this is what the brine shrimp hatchery looks like. You can see lots of moving little brine shrimp that have hatched. So what we're going to do is take it straight out of here with the sieve and feed it to the fish. Okay. Lift up the wee sieve a bit, let all the liquid drain away. These guys haven't actually had their breakfast yet, so they will be pretty hungry. So it's as simple as that, just empty it in, and you can see they're having a bit of a frenzy. Okay, so that's one done, and we're on to the big one now. This is a Ziss Artemia blender. So this takes 2 litres of water, which we have here. And so you mix that with 3.5 tablespoons of salt. Right, how this one works is, this is the stand that it sits in, and down here there's a little valve that if you open it, the brown shrimp will pour out into a cup or a vessel or whatever, and if you close it, they'll all stay in. Now there's different theories about, as we said before, brown shrimp are attracted to the light. So if you shine a light at the bottom, they'll all go down there, and all the empty shells, the empty eggs will go up the top. But I quite often find that there's eggshells mixed in, or little cysts or whatever they're called, and you don't really want them in your tank. They'll just decompose and the fish won't touch them, and they're not great. So I tend to use a sieve, which is here, and I separate them as much as I can, and then sometimes use the turkey baster to go right where I can see the brine shrimp are. Once they've hatched, they go this kind of orange colour, quite a bright orange colour, so it's easy to see where they are. So I stick my turkey baster in there and scoop them up, and then put them through the sieve, rinse them off under the tap, pop them in the tank, and that's the best way that I do it. But different people do it different ways. So here we go. I'll just try and dissolve some of this salt in here. We'll get our big Ziss. I'll try not to spill loads of water everywhere. There we go. Oh, put the salt on the bottom like that. So that's good, all in. So with your brown shrimp hatchery, you also get, with this one, with the Ziss one, you also get a little air stone and this tubing, which is useful. So I went and bought a little, a tiny little pump online, which has been brilliant for this. It's just perfect. So I'll just pop that in, and that will help move around the salt. I'll just get the lid here. So normally I just pop it through the lid. You've got different holes there for your thermometer and a heater or whatever, which I don't use. So my air pump does that. and it keeps things moving about. So now for this one, we use 1 teaspoon per litre. So 2 teaspoons of brine shrimp for this, which will give us a lot of brine shrimp. So we're not using the small scoop anymore, we're using the big teaspoon. So I'll move this to one side. These are all amounts that I found that work for me. They might not work for you. You might experiment and find something completely different. You might look online and see somebody else doing it a different way that you think would work for you. Give it a go. I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you what I use and what I find works for me. Right. So I'm going to put my brine shrimp back into the freezer. And my bag has actually split a little bit inside, so I'm going to place that in another bag to keep it sealed, because you don't want it getting moist either. So that's it. I usually find in my climate and in my kitchen in the summertime that this will start showing results in about 2 days. And then it will, a small amount will hatch, and then more and more and more. So you might want to leave it a bit longer to see when you've got the maximum amount of brine shrimp to actually harvest. The other one, the smaller one, might be a bit quicker because there's less water volume. It might work out better. Don't know. But anyway, that's it for just now. I'll leave them to bubble away, and I shall come back and speak to you again once they've hatched, and you can see what it's all about and why go to all this effort. The fish really love it. Okay, thanks very much. Bye.